kiss I'd waited 13 years for. Well, that's how Dennis Taylor described the moment earlier this year in Sheffield's Crucible Theatre, which brought to an end the most remarkable world snooker final ever seen. But it wasn't quite the end of it, because the emotion of the whole affair and the reaction to it also created a few headlines. Well, now Steve Davis and Dennis Taylor are going to sit here with me and watch it together. And we're going to get a quite revealing insight into what it's like to play in and live through one of sport's most unforgettable and most talked about occasions. Now, since it all happened, Steve Davis here has never actually seen the snooker drama that over 18.5 million of you watched at home, creating new records in television sport. At 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, April the 27th, there were no clues, no indication of what we were going to see over the next 2 days. Davis, already world champion 3 times, just won the first of 35 frames. Taylor, already having his best season ever, wasn't really concerned, obviously enjoying being in the world final. But before very long, with Davis potting balls like the machine he's so often been compared to, it was obvious that Taylor felt he was playing no more than a minor supporting role. The chair in the wings seemed to be the only place for the Irishman. Davis had the stage to himself. At the end of the first afternoon, Taylor wanted to hide. He'd won nothing. Davis had all 7 frames on the board. Saturday evening, and Taylor didn't need to watch to know nothing had changed. He could hear it all happening and couldn't shut out the nightmare of sound, applause after applause for the defending champion. But then, in frame 9, Davis seemed to believe anything was possible.
Well, Steve Davis there at full stretch, in fact overstretched, and that could cost him his first frame.
Jack Carnham had pinpointed the most crucial moment of the match so far. At last, 1 for Taylor, 1 out of 9. And then the story began. By the end of the night, Taylor had won 6 out of the next 7. He was only 2 behind with 19 to play tomorrow. Sunday afternoon, he was level, 11 all. Late into the night, the sponsors were in the wings, waiting to give Davis the trophy and the check, because the champion needed just 1 more, 17-15. But he didn't get it, and at 10 minutes past 11, in the Crucible Theatre, 17 all. Steve Davis, at 7-0 and then 8-0, you must have thought, here's the World Championship.
That's right. It probably was the fact that it wasn't my first final that I might have perhaps relaxed a bit too much. But as we all know, Dennis came back into the game at night-time session. It was like a completely different game. And the first session was dominated by me totally. I remember missing a brown. I think I took a liberty and played a brown along the cushion. It wobbled and gave Dennis a fairly easy opportunity to win that frame. And you potted the brown and blue and the pink. And that got him started.
Might have been the green. A funny feeling with the green down the cushion.
Down the cushion.
And the brown was just blocking the pocket slightly. I think.
An Irishman would remember the green.
Absolutely. How'd you ever forget it, David?
But the agony you were going through, I think, in that initial session of 7-0, I was just wondering if the matches you'd played leading up to the final, because you'd had to beat Cliff Thorburn, you'd had to beat Tony Knowles, had a lot been taken out of you by then?
Well, It had in a way, but I felt really good in the final. But in that first session, as Steve says, he played terrific snooker, so I couldn't do a lot about it, only just sit in the chair, because when your opponent's knocking the balls in, as I once, it happened to me in the Jameson tournament, I think Steve will remember when he went on and won 9-0. Right. And I just felt with having beaten the players that I had beaten, that I'd played so well, and if I could just get the opportunity, maybe there was a chance that I could keep Steve sitting in the chair for a while.
Was there a mental thing going on because you were playing Steve Davis in the Championship of the World?
Well, every time I've played Steve, I've been sort of one of the players that have tried to put it out of my mind. It's very difficult when you're sitting there and he's knocking the balls in. But I try and sort of not look at Steve when he's potting. I'm sort of looking at my shoes or looking under the table, because you can't do anything about it. And fortunately, as I say, 8-0, I thought at that stage, you know, looking back at it and the expressions on my face, I thought the sort of whole, I wish the floor had opened up and that had disappeared. But fortunately, in the evening session, to get back to 9-7, I went to bed that evening, as I mentioned before, feeling that I was in front.
I felt tremendous myself. 9-7.
Just wondering how you felt when you were one frame away from the championship with 3 to play. You must have thought you'd gone through the trauma and it had come back again.
Well, I mean, I'd survived a right tough middle part of the game where Dennis was obviously coming back, and I've done really well. And I think at that stage I missed a couple of shots. I remember I got into a good position, break building position, and missed a couple of shots. And Dennis was playing, but I think Dennis was playing well the whole tournament. We were both playing very well, and if you look at all the scores of the matches, we beat our opponents very easily. And it was either one of us, and we were both probably on a par that tournament. And I think it was only right it went to the final frame.
Did you ever feel, I was just wondering, even with the way you play snooker and your dedicated approach to it, was there an effect on you because you'd been 8-0 up? Was there any chance of it slipping away mentally in your mind?
Oh, I don't really know. When you're out there doing it and playing, you don't really think of things like that. I'm not too sure. I've been in front before and been hauled back. It's one of the problems that a lot of players go through. Even like Jimmy played Cliff in the first tournament of the season, and the same thing happened in the matchroom. But it's a mental attitude. You've got to get used to being in front. The sort of loneliness of a long distance runner, nothing to do. But it's just as tough to win every single frame.
Were you both conscious of the time of night on the Sunday when it got to 10 past 11, it was 17-all, which meant that one frame was going to decide the championship of the world? I know the sponsors and everybody else have been outside for hours waiting to give somebody the check. Did you fellas know what time of the day it was?
I don't think we really thought about that. It's only after, when you hear the things like Barry and Barry Hearn and the sponsors, as you said, they were stood behind the commentary box waiting to come out to make the presentation, and finished up standing there for what, something like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
I think Barry Hearn was taking lumps out of a scaffolding pole with his fist on the last 3 frames.
I should think so. Well, it's a lot easier playing than it is watching. It's very, very nerve-wracking when we play in the team snooker. You sit and watch somebody, you've got no control. But when you're out there in the middle, you are concentrating to such a degree that the time flies by so fast. And it's enjoyable. You do enjoy yourself. And you're the only one without sweaty palms, I think, in the whole building.
OK, you say it's more nerve-wracking watching than playing. Going to rack your nerves a bit now. Because,
I hate watching.
Here we
I
are.
haven't watched it since.
10 past 11 on the Sunday night of the most remarkable World Championship final ever. One frame to play. 17-all. Wasn't doing any favours there, Dennis.
Well, I mean, with all the pressure to break off like that in the final frame, I mean, that's one of the best break-offs you can possibly get. I was in all sorts of trouble here.
That's very nice of you to say. Thank you very much. I'll comment on this next shot of yours, and I think you played quite a nice little shot here under the pressure as well.
Well, you'd probably say it was a deliberate miss.
Well, there was the red that went into the top left-hand corner pocket here, but of course you played onto the top cushion, knowing that I couldn't play to pot it because the black was covered with the red.
Yeah, that was right. And then pink was tied up as well.
Right.
So
you weren't particularly bothered about that, as I can see. No beads of sweat yet, anyway.
But it wasn't that easy for you to get behind the colours here with the red on the right, you know, near the middle pocket. You had to make sure it missed that. So it sort of just prevented you from getting over behind the green again there.
Yeah, it was also, I think, in the early stages of this frame, as from what I can remember, the balls went particularly awkward, and it didn't help even, and the pressure made it even worse. So we had some funny old shots. Well, there was quite a nice little shot there from you, Dennis, deliberately putting the blue down by the green so that I couldn't pot that either.
We'll see it coming up here because a couple of days after it, I was playing Cliff Wilson, and I mean, Cliff's not renowned for being a safety player. I think the last time Cliff played a safety shot was 1949. And Cliff said to me, he said, this final frame was the best safety he'd ever seen in his life. You know, so coming from Cliff Wilson, that was quite a compliment, I suppose.
Well, this is the first time I've seen the whole frame, and I'm not a great watcher of old videos, but it'll be very interesting to see how the frame develops. I might have a bet on myself this time, I don't know.
You've never actually sat and watched this whole frame,
No.
which is the most famous frame
No,
in
Dennis, I don't really like watching, especially when I lose, but Dennis lent me his Irish video, which records programmes you don't like and then plays them back when you're out. So that's how I've watched it. As you can see, that what's happening here is all the balls are going in horrible places, really. It might be okay early on in a match when you're a bit free and easy, but you've got to try and make every shot count. It becomes much more difficult.
A little bit. Well, I wasn't too pleased with that there.
Weren't you? Go on, tell us another.
Well, there was no path. There was no path back down the table, and the double kiss. It probably could have been worse than that, but it left a fairly easy.
Did I get this? Oh yeah. See, the blue's not on the spot again. That makes it more difficult to make a break with the pink, the black, and the blue not on its spot. You have to go down for the ball colours, or wait for an opportunity to get the blue back.
But I think the pattern of this early stage of this final frame was very much the cat and mouse and the safety play, wasn't it?
It does tend to be. I think you get you get two different types of games in final frames. You either get a very cagey game, or one player tends to make a big break and finishes it off early.
I think this is where you see he's got a very, very easy red here, but the pink and black still tied up, so he's got to come back down for the blue. And to control the position, I mean, he's screwing the ball sort of back about six feet, so it's not easy to control it. And in fact, you just under-hit that one slightly.
That's right. Well, I was playing to hold the white ball on the blue spot so that it wouldn't go back on there again afterwards. Work that one out. I must have played a safety shot here. I wouldn't have gone for a shot here. It was pointless trying to keep on potting ball colours with the risk of missing the shot. Now we're in a position to play safety shots and cut off one whole side of the table. As you can see, the pink ball is stopping any safety shots to the left of the table. So now it becomes a very hard type of safety where you have to sort of roll onto balls a lot, I think, and try and make sure you don't leave anything down the top of the table. You went for that one, did you? OK.
That just confirms that you definitely haven't watched the frame, Steve.
No, I haven't at all, no.
But once again, I didn't really finish on a colour there. I'm in a similar position to the one you were in previously.
This is where a lot of younger players or less experienced players can fall down a little bit. I mean, one of the things that's very good about the both of us as players, good match players, is that we can mix it, so to speak. We can pot a few if we need to, but also be a little bit patient when we have to be. And when there's nothing much on, it's the worst thing in the world is to go for that extra one, because that usually gets you into trouble.
Yes, you've both been known to be a bit patient at times
We
in the
can
early
be
hours of the
patient.
morning.
Yes, we can be. Well, there's nowhere else to go. Come on.
Now, that was the first time I'd reversed the roles. I'd been on the bottom cushion for the last 3 shots. So now it was Steve's turn to be in a little spot of trouble.
So even though Dennis potted the red and didn't get on a colour and didn't score a lot, sometimes you pot a red to get the advantage, and that's all you do. But that little advantage is worth a few points usually in the end. Well, the balls are terrible, really, aren't they?
See, what so many people said to me, having watched this, and there were about 18.5 million watching at this stage, they said, were these two players conscious of the fact this was the frame to decide the World Championship, or do they just play it frame by frame?
When you've been out there all day, it does become the norm, doesn't it? You know, it's just another frame. I feel that way anyway. I don't know about.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
I suppose we both left the arena just to sort of compose ourselves and pay a little visit as well. I suppose we've been out there a long time. And it's just another frame, but I think the atmosphere with the people when we come back in again, and then we sort of shook hands before it.
Yeah, you obviously know it's the last frame, but it's still, if you've been doing something all day long, and it's something we do every day of our life is put little balls in holes, it's not as hard to do under pressure as you would think sitting at home. But it obviously makes a difference when you see some of the mess-ups we make later on. Yeah. Or I'll make a few anyway, I know that.
I think we'll see plenty of evidence of the pressure later on in this frame.
But this is where the balls were starting to congregate on the top cushion. It's amazing the concentration on both our faces at this stage. Now, this is where the safety that Cliff Wilson was talking about, where we had to sort of flick the balls very thin. And when you're under a lot of pressure, to hit the ball right on the extreme edge, it's very, very difficult.
What, did you miss this one?
What, with those glasses, how could you miss?
Somebody told me that a couple of days afterwards, one of your kids trod on your glasses and smashed the frames, and that you went out and made a 1,470 break. Is that right?
It's a cracker.
Oh, yes. Oh, he nearly fluked it. Look at that. Well, that's the luckiest shot I've ever seen in my life.
I wasn't too bothered about potting the red. I was trying to screw the cue ball back into baulk there.
Well, we can see where now all of a sudden now we've got about 8 or 9 reds on the top cushion there around the black, and it's a definite. We've had quite a lot of tactical battles in the past, haven't we, in some of the World Championships, and this was another one. Getting back to the glasses, 2 days after the World Championships, I had to go and play an exhibition in Sheffield, and I drove up myself. I was obviously a bit disappointed and very upset and a bit touchy as well. And I went in a petrol station, filled up, and there was an advert, free with every 6 gallons, 2 tumblers. So I just paid the money. I'm just walking out, and the girl said, "Do you want glasses?" I said, "You trying to be funny?"
Yeah, that was my sister, Steve.
Oh, hit that bad.
Ooh.
I was trying to hit that on the right-hand side of the red. to push it back into the pack. Now I'll give Dennis a...
Well, once again, it's one of those shots you mentioned earlier where I just pot the red, I think, and then sort of gain the initiative again.
Did you not get on the pink from there? I can't really see the angle.
Well, do you know, it's amazing. I've seen the frame once when I talked over it with David, and even yet I can't remember everything.
Oh, no.
No, I was a little bit straight there too.
See, once again, really, what you're doing is potting a red just to try and get an advantage, which is so important at top-class level because you can clear up in one shot if you get a decent chance. Perhaps one of the best players at doing that and waiting around is Cliff Thorburn for gaining an advantage and then pressing it home. Well, there's a shot for you. Would you like to comment on that one?
That was a very strange shot I played there. Obviously, I would only gain 5 points if it had a win in because there's no way I could leave anything or get position. So it was a funny shot. This is I think is where we start snipping the reds. John Williams there just getting slightly in the way. John, you got to feel a little bit sorry for John. He'd been on his feet for what, 10 hours?
That's right.
So it was a pretty long session for him.
Well, so far it's been one of the scrappiest frames I can remember watching for quite a while. But there again...
Oh, it gets worse.
It does, yeah. And there you see the bridge. No, you don't. This is a really awkward frame. Neither of us had a really clear-cut chance yet. And I'm stuck over the yellow. They look Chinese. I should think I messed this one up, don't I? Oh, what a shot.
In fact, he's probably one of the best players bridging over a ball, Steve, with his long fingers and is it a double-jointed thumb?
Yes,
yeah.
That's right.
I've got another one for sale if you'd like. That was a very, very good shot. There's always a little less pressure on playing a safety shot than there is on a pot, even if it's a difficult shot. But some safety shots are still tremendous in their own right, even though you can't see the significance sometimes. Oh, yes, nice shot.
Did you put a little bit of swerve on that? It seemed to be you couldn't just quite get past the brown.
I can't remember, but I've obviously played it with right-hand side there to try and pot the red and make sure I don't cannon into the bunch of reds by the pink, and in doing that, I've just totally messed it up.
Everything's blocked out there, isn't it, really? Nothing will...
Yes, it's a red, Dennis.
Well, I'm looking for everything at this stage. I was looking at the plant there, but as you can see there, it just wasn't on into the middle pocket.
You have the choice here of potting it or playing the safety shot, as you can see, nodding. I think you should have gone for the pot and wobbled it there myself.
Well, the thing is, normally you probably would go for that pot, but we played quite a few safety shots. So now you're thinking, well, I'll wait till I get a decent opportunity and then, you know, sort of have a go for it.
That's called thinking. Once again, Dennis played a safety shot there, and even though he didn't get the red back down the table, the blue went safe. And the blue's now on the green. I've now got to make my mind up. Looks like I'm going for this, doesn't it? No, I'm not.
You missed it by a long way.
It's at this stage in the game here, it's very easy to play safe because the top right-hand pocket's completely blocked up there. And you just, if you do get into too much serious trouble, it's just a case of plopping one back on top of the cushion where the reds are.
I think that little shot we had of you just now, Steve, scratching her head, it looked as if it was getting more and more difficult to come to a decision.
Well, it was, the frame itself was a frustrating frame for it wasn't a clear-cut frame.
Yeah.
And when the balls are going funny all the time, it gets a little bit frustrating, and you've just got to sort of hang in there. But it's not nice. It's much easier to have clear-cut decisions to make.
Now, that was the first one Steve had missed completely there.
That's right.
No, that's one where I had to clip very... Oh, dear me.
They're not. See, things like that, even though the crowd go ooh and ah, the last two shots, both failed strokes, were not serious mistakes. When I totally missed the reds, I didn't do any damage. If I'd have hit them thick, I would have done some damage, put them all over the place. And the fact that Dennis has gone in off in that pocket means that I've got the white ball in the D, and there's no reds down there, so it's no use to me at all.
See, those shots there, if you hit them half ball, then you're bringing the red out towards the other corner pocket.
Both having a lot of trouble, I think, trying to work out how to get an opportunity to open the frame up. Because when we're not trying to be negative, you want to try and make an opening for yourself, but you obviously can't make stupid mistakes. But we're both getting a little bit sort of, well, how are we going to get an advantage out of this frame? How are we going to get to make the other guy make a mistake? Because there's not that many ways at the moment of doing it.
And always, of course, the possibility, if you don't get it absolutely right, you shut the door on yourself, and he's in.
That's right. You can always... You usually get more chances in the last frame of winning it, of making mistakes, than some of the earlier ones. But you still never know.
It's amazing how the crowds these days appreciate the safety side of the game.
But I think they were appreciating that 2 days of snooker starting at 1 o'clock on Saturday and now it was getting on to midnight on the Sunday was coming down to just this. Everything that had gone 8-0 and then coming back and then 17-15. Wipe it all out. It's all down to what happens on this table in the next 40 minutes or so.
I was in a lot of trouble here, really. Now, it's amazing the crowd reacted as soon as the white hit the red there.
Ooh, look at that. I tell you what, we all pull faces and all do things, but really we're all a little bit posers when we're out there in our own little ways, you know. We all sort of do things. I mean, you can't help it really because it's part of an act. You go, whatever you do, it's something that you don't necessarily do when you're practicing. So it's got to be something that's become part of you since you've been out there on the table all the years you've been playing. Because you would never look like that in practice at all in a million years,
I think
would
it's
you?
the tight lip there. It just shows you what...
Look at that smirk.
Well, that was more or less just telling you that you put me right in it there.
Well, you haven't got a bug behind there. You're talking to somebody. That's secret.
Well, now we're getting to the stage here, David, where one mistake, because they're starting to open up slightly, one mistake, and as you say, sort of 17 days, or in my case, 13 years, trying to win the World Championship would have all been out the window.
But at the end of a long season, to bring the most important tournament of the season down to just one frame is a real test, and nobody wants to lose it. And there's been I think any two that get in the final stages to the final of competitions feel that way.
Looks to be a bit of a fine mess though, Dennis.
Yeah, it was a very difficult spot to be in. I caught that a little bit thick.
Not many. Have you got away with that? You look like you've got away with it the way you're sitting down. Yeah.
But it opened the black out there, didn't it, really? But it gave you a chance to really stick me right back in trouble. You're just looking there to see where you want to put the white.
There's a lovely angle here to get behind the blue if you can. It's and this corner of the table down here by the blue is a tremendous place at the moment to play safety shots into. Because the pink once again is guarding the rest of that table, and there's no real escape route back out the other side. This is what the game's all about at the top level after a while. It's all about getting the initiative.
You know, it's amazing, David. You know, you hear people talking around the country about about finals being fixed. All you got to do is look at the expression on both our faces there. And I mean, Steve, I've known Steve a long time. Steve wouldn't let his grandma win a frame against me.
I'll do it at Christmas.
Not quite as much money on it though.
We play for the fruitly bit in the Christmas pudding. Yeah, that was a perfect shot. We could go on all night doing these safety shots, couldn't we?
You went on for quite a time.
But he clearly has the advantage here with the safety exchange. I suppose by this stage anyway, you've played so much on the table, you've got the speed off to perfection really, which helps on the you know, on the safety exchanges. And just look at the concentration there; it's amazing.
Well, there's a mistake. It's given you an opportunity to pot this red, come round the back of the reds.
Now that's the first one where we mentioned
bad
earlier
shot.
about just hitting it a little bit too thick. You know, you send the red out towards the pocket.
I'll be sitting down in my chair now and thinking, oh God, if he pots this and gets on the black and the reds, it's my own fault.
And were you thinking then I was 8-0 up?
No, it doesn't really enter your mind.
Oh,
it does
come
when
on.
it doesn't. Well, I can tell you to the cows come. It doesn't. Good shot. The only time you think about what might have been is afterwards. But when you're actually doing it, it never crosses your mind at all. Because it's too much to think about. Instead of, if you thought about it, you wouldn't be able to walk around the table, because your mind would be in complete turmoil.
It's not like the drowning man with the life flitting before his eyes then.
No, not at all. I don't think I've ever once thought, God, if I'd have played such and such, I'd have still been in front at all. Never think like that. I think that's one of the things about thinking positively.
Yeah. As you mentioned there, probably with me finishing on the black, as Steve said, you know, he was thinking, I've made a mistake here, the whole thing could go here. And I was sort of thinking, well, this is the first opportunity. Let's make the most of this. I've got a great chance.
Even so, the black still goes on its own spot and it's a bit awkward. But you should get a few from here, shouldn't you?
Yeah, well, you see, I'm moving this red and I can get on the pink. And probably if you look at it from here, if I can get on the red, in between the red I'm playing in the black now, in such a way I can clear the black with the cannon onto the other red. But it is complicated.
Yeah,
but you know, it's like yourself, you do think ahead even at this stage. And I think this is what I was playing to do from this pink, but didn't quite get the position side of it right.
Really now Dennis is looking for one perfect positional shot and to open up the whole game for himself. But that is just as hard to do under pressure as to pot the ball. The weight of a shot.
No,
And he's just under hit it there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, under hit that by, what, about 4 inches further. I wanted the white back.
I told you to put that extra bit on your cue at the end.
And of course, Steve, you can do nothing.
Well, that's right. You've got to sit down. But I think that's the fascination of the game for playing it anyway, is that when you get your chance, you're on the table, and when you've missed, you've got to sit down and wait. The only game harder than that is billiards. When you play that, then you wait for about 400 while a bloke makes that. In the old days, you used to make thousands.
You could go on holiday, couldn't you?
Well, you could. They had a game once for 2 weeks, and the guy made just under $500,000. And the bloke used to turn up every day, put his coat on the back of the chair, and then go across the road to the cafe.
Well, he went through 2 new tips and he hadn't played his shot.
Kept chalking up.
Just chalking it.
Yeah. So they changed that rule.
You see, there, I just was a fraction, another sort of an inch up the table, and I could get at the pink, you know, perfectly. But
when you think about it, the shot you played to pot the pink in the middle pocket and screw back, you'd have been better off playing it hard or whatever.
Yeah.
And then at least you're on a red in the top half of the table.
you see, I went close to the cushion off this. You know, I wanted to be sort of about 18 inches from the side cushion. Now, I played to drop it in. And really I've gone, you know, that's just messed the whole thing up completely there. There's no way I can go for this red now with the position I'm in.
Yes, looks like you're getting ready, Steve, there.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, when you're actually sitting down, I think the one thing you do is you're not really hoping that the bloke misses.
No.
You're not
Just
really,
hoping he doesn't pop the ball.
No, you do. You're not really hoping. I think because you expect the guys to pot the easy ones. You're more surprised when they miss an easy one. Yeah. But you're looking, I think, to see perhaps if they get out of position. Yeah. And there, when he played the pink and came to the cushion, I thought, oh, well, that's the end of his break. He'll play safe now. That's when you chalk your cue up.
22.
I'm sort of looking up at the gods there thinking, well, what a golden opportunity just went by.
But you'd have been pleased to get 22 on the table as well, on the board.
Oh, that was a bad kiss, wasn't it?
Well, I'd have been in anything anyway. I don't care. I'll go for the yellow if I don't get on the blue. Now, I think from this position, even though I've got perfectly on the blue, am I not in the wrong position to screw back? Didn't I have a bit of trouble?
You did run into problems here.
But
but
the brown was in the way for screwing back sort of without touching the cushion, and the green was in the way for screwing up the table. And there was only, even though the reds were fairly open, they weren't open so much into the top right-hand pocket, which was the pocket. Let's see what I do.
Yeah, you've come off the side cushion.
Yeah, it was difficult. Well, great shot. I mean, like, perfect to get the spider out. Play the shot with the spider, screw back off the side cushion. And as you can see, I'm well pleased with that.
Yes.
Yes.
You see, I think that was significant because rarely do we see you actually make an exclamation like that. In fact, later on you begin to talk to the crowd a little bit.
You should ask the referees what I say.
But you seem to be in a rather different state of mind by then.
Well, for that particular instance, I mean, me saying yes was really sort of telling myself I played a bad shot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I was relaxed enough to know I played a bad shot and wasn't going, oh, dear, about it.
Yeah.
I think, is this the one, in fact, Steve, I bet you don't believe what you played here, because I certainly
What am I going to do?
couldn't believe. Just watch this shot, because I bet you don't remember what you did here.
This.
Now just watch this. I bet you'll have a laugh at this one. But I think you...
Don't tell me. Am I?
Yeah, you got away with it slightly, but this shot could have cost you the frame.
I can't really see it.
Yeah, you won't believe this one.
Mind you, I'm a bit difficult to play a safety shot. Why don't I go for side cushion onto the red on the top cushion?
Well, yeah.
Oh, cracked up. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Hair's running. Oh, no. I think I'm trying to get back down the table and try and hopefully pot the ball, but this is... I'll probably cannon the blue, don't I?
Well, you bounce everywhere. I've never seen a shot like this. Well, certainly never seen you play one like this.
Oh, lovely. Oh, okay. Well, look at this.
Well, you were rather fortunate.
I'll tell you what, well, after playing that, I deserved to lose it. I think I didn't I, in the end?
But that was an amazing choice of shot from you there.
I think what happened was, I'll tell you what happened there was the fact I got in, I potted a red and blue. I should have. You like that one, didn't you?
Well, I was smiling there, but I think underneath I was saying, you lucky so-and-so.
Yeah, I think what happened was that the fact I potted the red and the blue and I should have made more out of the opportunity, I was reluctant to give in to the fact that I was probably a little bit impatient myself there.
Yeah.
Especially after you scored 22, which is such a mammoth break in the last frame. But you're on the red here, aren't you?
Well, I couldn't quite reach this, you see. If I had had your long legs, I would have took this one on. But watch, I'm trying to, the cue's underneath my body, which would have been, it would have been a bit silly because, in fact, I almost played the shot. And there again, that could have cost me the match if I had went for it and missed it.
Don't you usually play these left-handed? Screw back.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. If it's the first frame. I'm looking to see what would happen to white when I cannon into the red there, but it
What
would
about
have
if
been.
you play it with top there? Can you not?
Yeah, if I had been able to reach it, it would have been the right choice of shot, but I think I made the right decision in playing the safety shot, really. In fact, I don't even play a good safety shot.
Well, after my last shot, you wouldn't have had to.
I mean, it's so easy to put you down behind the brown here, off two cushions.
You're talking to that bloke behind your ear again. What's going on? I was playing two of you.
There's a little leprechaun. Now, I've got to miss the pink, go between the pink and brown, and this was a bad shot for someone that used to play billiards. Look at that.
Steve Davis, 4.
It's amazing what you do, isn't it?
Now, these are shots, Steve, when I'm in the commentary box, this next red coming up here, these are the sort of shots you practice quite a bit, really. I think you're probably about the best player in the game at knocking in a shot like this.
Do I get it?
If I remember right, you get the cracking red.
I missed the blue.
There was the Romford roll. I think you must have been delighted with that shot.
I think I missed this blue down. After potting
Yeah.
such a good red, I missed the blue. I remember missing a ball, a very easy ball after potting a good one, that I just couldn't believe I'd missed. And you can only put a shot down, you can put that down to two things, carelessness, and I doubt very much if it was that, or pressure. And I overcut it, I hit this top jaw.
I think you're thinking more of the red than you are of the blue.
Yeah.
Because you didn't really move your head, kept perfectly
no.
still, so you just forgot the pot.
And you don't win it from here.
No.
There are a lot of chances going begging in this game, and my drink had nearly run out.
Mind you, how many last frames, you know, that do go like this, where both players get the chances and the pressure just gets to them? Oh yeah, that was it. If I miss the black, I'm absolutely perfect on the blue. So that was a total disaster there again.
I'm sitting in my chair now thinking, well, I can't believe my luck, or I can't believe he's messed the opportunity up. Exactly the same way as I let him off the hook, but it's... it never ceases to amaze the way you can mess positions up, especially when there's a little bit of pressure and a shot that in practice would be elementary just to play a little bit less stun and go up the ball a little bit and play a shot, then becomes a bit harder because you reach for the shot instead of playing it a little bit smoother.
You haven't seen anything yet, have you?
No, not at all, no.
But the amazing thing about the game, although there was no break, well, there wasn't any breaks, 22 in the final frame here, there was an awful lot of breaks all the way through the final. You know, the standard of snooker was amazing.
I think what signifies the way you two were playing this match, there wasn't a century break in the whole of the final. You were all playing percentage balls. And,
Yeah.
good breaks, solid breaks.
Yeah.
Goes like that sometimes.
I think if you look back over the World Championships, even when Steve was winning them, it's the player who makes the most 50 breaks, 60 breaks, is the one that wins the championship.
Dennis Taylor, 4.
I love that phrase, even when Steve was winning the World Championship.
Well, you know what I mean.
At this stage, there's only 10 points in it. I mean, it's ridiculous,
Yeah.
really, after what's gone on.
That's right. Well, this is quite an amazing little sequence here.
I was
Dennis
starting to
Taylor,
feel at this
6.
stage, because that was the second one Steve had missed altogether, so I was thinking, well, I wonder is the pressure getting a little bit more to Steve than it is to me, but it's soon changed round again.
You put me in again there, hoping I might miss it again, eh? What did I do?
Have a look.
I probably missed it again. Well, I made sure I didn't hit it thick, I know that.
No, not very thick.
Perhaps I did hit it thick. Oh, done you there, look. Now, when that happens and you put somebody in and they play a shot like that, you're gutted. You think, why didn't I play that shot? It wasn't that difficult.
I don't think I've ever been so keyed up in a match before as I was in this final. It was amazing. I've never really experienced feeling like this before.
I don't think any audience in the Crucible or 18 million people at home had ever been as keyed up in a snooker match they were on this one.
That was a good shot. What, a table must roll off.
Foul, Dennis Taylor, 4.
Yes.
I think he was just starting to get a little bit worried there.
Got the tables rolling off.
See, the reason I've put Steve back in again there, with the green there, I would have had to use the rest, the pink and green are sort of blocking it, so I didn't fancy playing the shot with the rest. Now Steve's
But I'm a bit lankier, aren't I?
a little bit taller, so he could reach it there.
Still not a very good shot, that. The idea of a safety shot is to try and put the opponent in trouble, not stick him on the baulk line so you can have a nice, easy shot. There we go, the black's getting pushed over to the other pocket now, makes it a bit difficult for all the reds.
You see, 20 in front there, that's quite a good lead at this stage of the
When the balls
proceedings.
are all, when the balls are all in awkward positions, a lead of 20 is like a lead of 60 sometimes. Oh, where the cue went there, look. Sorry about that. I mean, I've played a few bad ones.
It's my thumb, you see, it's not as long as yours, it keeps sliding off the end.
Oh, you got that was quite a nice shot. Yeah, I'm really pleased about this. I've now in so much trouble, I think, from this position that really I've got to try and. I think I've got to come off a cushion. I don't know. But by wobbling in the jaws, he's put me behind the brown. My escape routes are non-existent, and the balls are not that tightly packed now that I can get away with just rolling onto them. So now I'm doing a sort of an Oscar-winning performance in trying to get out of it. That's to shake head for me, Nan, to know that I'm not actually enjoying this part of the game. So I had to take a risk there.
Yeah, that was one of those shots where, you know, he's got to play that shot and he's not quite sure exactly how they're going to finish up, but he certainly couldn't have played it much better.
This must have gone on for ages, eh?
But I think we talked about this before, David, just after it, and even Barry Hearn was saying he spoke to people who thought the frame lasted somewhere between 20 and 35 minutes.
Well, when I said to you about a 68-minute frame, you said, well, which one was that? Not the last one. I mean, you can believe it, could you?
Actually, that must be very close to being a record for the length of a frame in a match. It's just over the hour, I know that.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get a frame lasting any longer than that, because I don't think you'd ever get a frame last an hour and a half, even if both players were playing terrible and there was a lot of pressure.
I forget we worked out how many shots we played in the frame. It wasn't that we were playing slowly, it was just the amount of safety shots that we're playing.
Yes, there have been longer frames in matches, but I think this was the longest of this particular championship.
I mean, if you look at the balls there's not one colour on their spots, so that shows you how the frame went. Usually, you know, you get most of the colours still on their spots at this stage.
As I'm sure somebody will know the longest ever frame. It's a fair bet that either Cliff Thorburn or Terry Griffiths was playing.
Oh, I'm glad you said that, David.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to be in your shoes when you meet them again.
You see, we're now around about midnight on day 2.
Yeah, now you see, I was looking at the plant, although the reds are too far apart, but I was too much over the left side of the table. And that's the first time I've missed the red, and straight away I thought to myself, Steve will be able to go for the plant here. And I think you scored quite a few. It really...
I got back in the game. Luck and bad luck plays a part in all snooker, and no good snooker player ever moans and uses it as an excuse for losing or winning. But there's always instances in matches that they could have been very, very slightly. But the idea is to get yourself in situations where the bad luck or the good luck doesn't come into it by playing better. And when it goes to a last frame, anything can happen. And that's the exciting thing.
Steve's gone back to his chair. He realises that this is a chance to clinch it. As I say, I was the first ball I'd missed playing a thin cut. And I thought, oh, God blimey, look at this.
I think this is what we were talking about earlier when everybody uses this word pressure, but one small mistake can wipe out hours and hours of play, can't it?
Absolutely,
right.
yeah.
Now I've got 3 reds in the top half of the table that I can clear up,
7.
and then come down for the loose red, down by the yellow spot roughly. And that's the order I'd like to take them in. And
As you say, I spent 3/4 of an hour building up a
20 lead, that's right. And now in 2 seconds it's been brought back to naught. I had to being about 20 behind, whatever. I had to get quite a long way into the colours to still be in a winning position.
Right.
12.
And if I could have just potted the yellow and green, it would have been lovely.
Says a lot, that, Dennis.
Well,
He thought, well, that's the first chance one player thought that perhaps it was going to slip away. But there was a lot more drama than that.
you see that shot there now, that was just to drop that red and to finish on the blue was, you know, a lot of pressure on that. It was quite a difficult shot along the top cushion.
Now, to people sitting at home, this stage of the match, they wouldn't have been able to stand up, in their opinion. But you do a lot of this on automatic because you spend hours and hours of potting balls. And even though there's that much pressure attached, you can go through the motions and do it on automatic pilot, so to speak. It's only when you've got a problem you have to think through it clearly.
19.
Now, what I'm going to do here, this is a shot. I've got to play this with the rest, and I want to get on the pink. And I haven't played it hard enough. I wasn't unlucky. It was a bad shot to leave myself, and I snookered myself behind the yellow. I was so annoyed with myself. But the fraction was so close.
Yeah, all of a sudden, you're beginning to remember every ball from that
now,
grey
from
period at the beginning.
The colours on, yeah. You don't remember the early shots. The colours stage is when you start remembering it. If I'd have been a fraction more, like half an inch,
Yeah.
I would have been able to see the pink, and I might have been able to. But as you can see, I'm really pleased with that. I thought I'd have another drink and finish off my water. This is total posing.
That's a little trademark of yours,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Well, I think even though I've been sort of taking the mickey a little bit out, going back to my seat and drinking a glass of water, sometimes it can
The last time, or the first time
settle
I
you a bit.
played you in the World Championships,
Had a ham
you had a ham sandwich in the middle of the match.
I had a ham sandwich. Well, the tournament organiser said it was OK if I had it, and then I was slagged in the papers for eating a ham sandwich and
Did
bringing
you
the
give him
game
time to eat it, then?
disrepute.
Oh.
Well, you've gone ahead here, haven't
Yeah.
you? From
Yeah.
I've gone in front of
This
you.
is
I mean,
when you went up to that break of 53, wasn't it? Up to a score of 53 with that break, which was beginning to look like a championship-winning break.
I'm in a very strong position at the moment. I was in a very strong position in this frame up until Dennis potted the black to win it. But oh, there we go. Look, I'm 9 in front, which is lovely. That means I've got the yellow, green, and brown before Dennis can eat into my lead.
But this, I'd no way. The angles here, I couldn't come off 2 cushions because of the pink. The blue was slightly blocking. Well, it was blocking the straight up and down shot. So I've had to go way out wide with loads aside to try and avoid hitting the blue and make an angle. I'm sort of just putting a lot of right-hand side on it there.
I didn't understand why he could have played a Massey shot.
Well, it was...
Ball, Steve Davis, 4.
Yeah, he was in so much trouble there that he would have done well to get very close to it, wouldn't he? It was a very difficult get out of the safety shot. And of course he's done the best possible thing, which is, even though he's missed it, is to have played the shot. That if he missed it, he's not left me a shot on, which is...
The green was playing quite a role here, because to pot the yellow and get to the green was...
difficult.
Oh, nice little kiss there.
Did you like the way I played that? Here we have a situation. If I could have put the blue or the pink safe in very safe positions, I would have been much happier, because that meant Dennis would have been a great clearance to have cleared up in one go.
And you see, even if I hadn't been able to pop the yellow there, I couldn't have got down on the green, so it, probably the safety shot, even if I had been able to see the yellow to pot it, would have been the best shot to play.
20 more. 21. 22. 23. 24. 25. 26. 27. 28. 29. 30. 31. 32. 33. 34. 35. 36. 37. 38. 39. 40. 41. 42. 43. 44. 45. 46. 47. 48. 49. 50. 51. 52. 53. 54. 55. 56. 57. 58. 59. 60. 61. 62. 63. 64. 65. 66. 67. 68. 69. 70. 71. 72. 73. 74. 75. 76. 77. 78. 79. 80. 81. 82. 83. 84. 85. 86. 87. 88. 89. 90. 91. 92. 93. 94. 95. 96. 97. 98. 99. 100. 101. 102. 103. 104. 105. 106. 107. 108. 109. 110. 111. 112. 113. 114. 115. 116. 117. 118. 119. 120. 121. 122. 123. 124. 125. 126. of a sudden the pen has gone back in the accountant's pocket again. I think it was about to, a few minutes ago, about to write a name on a cheque, but it's changed again. Oh.
I was a bit disappointed there, but once again, as I said, the green, to pot the yellow here and get to the green is very, very difficult.
I've in a position really where unless I get on the green perfect, it's not worth me even potting the yellow. But I've got to go for the pot yellow. It's very difficult when the ball is that close to the cushion. The topspin tends to work against the shot. You put topspin on, it hits the cushion, and it's still revolving forward, even though it's coming the other way. But I made a fairly good attempt at that. I didn't know I played that well.
Well, I was just wondering, you did well to get back.
Yeah.
In fact, you hit it too well.
Oh. It's exciting, isn't it? Even though I know the result.
Well, I was delighted there that the white finished in the position it did, because if it was 12 inches out from that cushion, Steve would have gone for the green and have been able to get up towards the brown.
Well, I can't see.
Oh, I know what you played here. This is where he didn't play to pot it, he played to angle it and snooker it behind the pink. Because there's no point in potting it where the brown is. Do you remember?
I can't see where the ball's... Oh, because I thought that's the pink, it's not the brown. I thought it was the brown.
So you didn't play to pot this, you played to angle the green.
Yes, I played to try and put the white behind the pink and play a safety shot. It was...
In fact, you didn't hit the angles.
No. That's a standard shot. You don't try to pot the ball.
Yeah.
You try and put it behind... you try and hit the far jaw, it hits the near jaw and comes up the table. And I was very lucky to get away with that as nice as it came.
This was a funny little decision to make here, because I couldn't hit the green. Look at that smile. Dear me. I couldn't hit the green. Now, I've had to swerve around the pink. Now, if you get into the white too well, I'm going to knock the green towards the middle pocket.
Oh.
So I'm winding up the old...
look at this.
Well, it was getting a little bit sticky out there. And I hit this perfect, really.
You've got to clip the green onto the cushion here. Yeah.
I couldn't have done any better, really.
Could you couldn't hit it at all?
No.
Or could you clip it so thin that you'd have pushed it over the corner
No,
pocket?
if I had been able to hit it thin, I would have just concentrated and put the white up on the top.
I suppose I've played a full in the mush shot, you know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look where this goes. Are you sure?
Well, I didn't want that. Look, I'm miles away from the brown. I'd have preferred the green to have stayed on the table there and gone around the table and played a safety shot. I thought I was quite unlucky. If the green stays on the table, you're in more trouble than you would be for this shot. Oh, I've given you a chance, look.
I've just had to go for this because I haven't really got a safety shot on. And I must admit, at this stage, I didn't fancy the long brown.
Well, this is... If Dennis could have cleared up from here, his first opportunity to clear the balls, his first clear-cut opportunity would have been tremendous feat. And this sort of shots, I mean, he's got to try and play position as well. He hasn't just got to try and pot the ball.
It's a little bit straight there, so I've got to force it slightly.
It goes everywhere. It's all over the place. And here we go, and the brown's going safe. It's a 6-4 shot. Now the blue's gone. This was... now, we both had a few goes at the brown, and I think the blue and the pink stayed where they were roughly from now on, didn't they?
Well, 18 the difference. You only need the brown here, so...
That's right. I was in a position where I need... If I get a chance at the brown, I'm going to go for it. And this was a chance. Even though it doesn't look particularly easy, it was a half chance, and I had to go for it.
Just some of the angles just make it look a little bit easier than it really is at times. But you left me at...
Horrible shot, yeah.
Now, if that white stops about 6 inches out...
Quite pleased at that, I think.
Very good piece of commentary, that.
Yes, I think I had just got away with it, as they say.
Dear me. And I was thinking...
God, we're all cracking up left, right and centre now.
I was saying to myself that, oh, if that white had been out 6
Oh, I
inches
know.
at a great angle to screw down for the blue.
Actually, I mean, even the crowd were laughing at how much pressure there was. A lot of the crowd were laughing to relieve some of the pressure.
We see, I'm digging down into this with loads of right-hand side to try and get down for the blue. Oh.
Oh, I'm just doing a few deep breathing exercises.
Was it page 6?
Page 6 of the successful snooker book.
Hoping that somebody up there likes me.
Yes. I'm wondering if he's going to pot this or not.
It's just the side, really. Putting side on at this stage is...
I think hitting the ball's quite hard.
But
The crowd seems to be getting quite exciting at this point for some reason.
Quiet, please.
What did I play here, do you know?
Well, I think you were trying to get me in behind the black,
Yeah, it was a bad shot.
sort of making sure of getting the brown down the table. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
what a
yeah,
shot
yeah.
that was. Oh, well.
Mind you, I took a long time over the next shot.
That was a terrible shot for me because I put the black on in the middle of the table. It was an all-round bad shot, really. I think I'd have probably been better clipping it.
Now, look at the angle of this. I mean, there's no point in going to pot that brown because if I miss the pot, I'm bound to leave you. If I get the pot, I'm not on the blue.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that easy to play safe. You know, what would you have done?
There.
Yeah, in that sort of situation.
I think I'd try to clip it thin and I didn't roll off with the net.
Sort of take the white
Take
down
it
the
right
table.
down the
Yeah.
table and trust that, I don't know, it's not enough, is it? And trust that I get it on the bottom cushion.
Well, I think I played it the other way. I sent the brown down.
Did you?
But I didn't know what to do here.
You do look in two minds, I must admit. I was sitting in my chair probably... I don't think I was looking for you to make a mistake. I was just waiting to see what shot you were going to play. I think you left me a long... Did you not leave me a long brown to try and pot? Didn't you play across the face of this and left me a long brown and I missed it into the top left-hand corner pocket?
Well, maybe I did play the white down and hit it a bit thick, did I? Do you know, it's amazing.
And we were playing. At this stage, you can be excused for taking half an hour shot if you want, really. Now, I've recovered my composure there, just...
Yeah, I played the shot that you said, but hit it a little bit thick.
Now, you've left... If you'd have got the white ball on the bottom cushion,
It would have been a good
it
shot.
would have been a good shot, but now you've given me another chance of playing the brown, and I think I missed it by about a foot.
This is where I thought Steve possibly would have knocked
potted
this
it.
in because he
It
doesn't have to
wasn't a
play
bad shot, yeah.
You don't have to play for the blue. You're 18 in front.
Yeah, I played to leave the white on the top cushion if I could.
Yeah.
It wasn't that difficult, pressure-wise.
Mind, there's such a tough... These shots are easy whenever you're sort of 8 frames in front.
Now, see that shot there? I've missed the brown, but I've pushed the black into the position where Dennis had first crack at it from that position later on, where he tried the double. But now this was one of the most, I think, was the best shot of the tournament, as far as I'm concerned, because Dennis, I was expecting him to play a safety shot of some sort, and I think what you did here was you played the best shot, I think, of the tournament. To pot this brown and to get position on the blue was incredible. I was sitting waiting and thinking, I wonder how he's going to play this safe. It's a bit difficult, a bit awkward. And he got down and stunned it in and got on the blue. A phenomenal shot. It was just a great shot to pot the brown.
Before I played that, I thought if I'm going to go out, it's the final frame. If I'm going to lose it, you know, I'm not going to lose it playing a safety shot that went wrong. So I thought, well, if I'm going to go out, I'll have a go. And
You know, yeah.
You peeped up there. Did you see? You just
To see where the white was with races. So he's played a tremendous blue to keep on the pink. Although you left yourself a bit close to the cushion.
Yeah, I wanted to come out off the cushion a bit, and
But this under pressure is a very, very difficult shot to play because he's got to play it fairly soft to keep it in the bottom half of the table. And of course, if it wobbles, he's lost the game.
It's funny, John Spencer was...
Who's that?
I don't know who that
Oh, is it?
John Spencer was saying this shot, he reckoned, was more difficult than the blue.
This was a tough shot, yeah.
For the simple reason, if I don't pot this, I'm tight on the cushion, if I don't pot this, there's no way the pink goes safe. But this is where I'd made my mind up, David.
To go for the double?
Yeah, to play across the table, to leave a double on the black.
Right, right.
Yeah, it was a good shot. Now, when it's landed there, I'm thinking, oh no, don't go for the double, please. You might get it.
I went walking past the trophy there.
That's right.
Steve's looked over.
Oh, you mind?
I give it a little kiss there, and I thought, well, I'm going for the black. It might be the only chance. This might be the nearest I'll get to it.
This was so exciting to be involved with. I mean, even though I lost and Dennis won, to be part of this final.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, especially after more tournaments have gone by and you've re-established yourself or whatever. Yeah. But to look back at this, it was so exciting to be out there. It will never, I don't think it'll ever happen again.
You said you hadn't seen...
Because I couldn't see.
Yeah.
He was in the way of the pocket.
The crowd, I said before, the crowd at the side of the black there, they sort of drove me crackers here because they all shouted the black was in.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
And I believed them.
Well, you would just.
No, he
listen.
was right in the way of my line of shot. I couldn't see if the black was going in or not.
Just listen to the crowd. They're remarkable.
Mind, I was very fortunate there. Well, unfortunate the black didn't go in, but fortunate to get it safe. Now, this shot says a lot for Steve Davis because at the final black, the last frame, and he's hit this safety shot absolutely perfect.
I'm getting quite excited watching this. What about you?
Did you realise it was this good, Steve?
No, I don't think. I think I might go home and watch it again afterwards.
Now, you see, he's hit that perfect. At this stage, you know, I'm thinking, I've got to go for the double, or sometimes if it doesn't double, it checks back. I didn't fancy
You played
playing
a double,
the
didn't
safety
you?
shot.
That's right. You played a long double.
I've got...
You're not having a drink of water here. You're copying.
I'm thinking to myself, should I go for the double? Should I?
No, you're just wiping your hands. This was, I mean, really, well, I think if it wasn't the last frame of the tournament, you would have, in the first frame of the tournament, you wouldn't have gone for the double. I think you'd have probably played across the face and tried to repeat what I did.
Yeah.
But it's strange when you're there and you only need one ball. It's so close and yet it's so far away. You went for the double. I thought, oh, it could do anything now.
I was trying to keep the white tight, you know, down the bottom end, close to the cushion, but didn't. Oh, go in. Oh, this time. Listen to the crowd as it goes up past the middle pocket.
Every pocket.
But this is, you can probably clear a little point up, Steve. We haven't had a chance to talk about it, but did you have a go for the double here?
No, I was in a very difficult situation. Is that I couldn't really play too far to the top cushion because it was too wide an angle. I had to hope I could hit the top cushion and still hit it fairly straight to get the white ball back. And as it happened, it checked up even more, and I don't think I hit it that well. I think it checked up a lot. I hit it too hard.
The kiss here, if you hadn't a kiss, it would have left an easier black.
That's
probably.
right.
Whoa.
Whoa, oh, look at that. Oh.
It's amazing, David. People, I mean, this is the first time Steve and myself have talked about in the final. It's amazing.
Now, I mean, what's going for it? Well, I expect Dennis to pot it, but...
Goodbye world.
That's right, yeah, you can't...
But at the same time here, I'm screwing the white. Why I'm screwing the white onto the side cushion?
That's right.
You know, I should just pot it, really.
You probably think there's another ball left after the black.
Now, I thought... Look at that. I thought it was going to come up into the top pocket. I bent down there, Now, I've walked away thinking I've left the black right over the pocket.
It came out a little bit there. It's now, I've looked at that and I thought, I can cut this in. I thought, there's a chance I can cut this in, and I've got to go for it. Dennis... Look at his face, it's
just
fantastic.
look at this here, I mean...
Oh.
1 o'clock.
Now I know I
started
can putt it.
Saturday.
Oh, should have kept on me there. I think that would have been a picture as well. This was, well, it's not easy, but it's not difficult. It's one of those dodgy ones. I overcut it. Didn't even hit the jaws there. Look. And now I knew I'd missed it then. I knew he'd pop that. The worst thing you can do with a shot, the one I've just missed, is hit it thick. And I think that was probably on my mind. I didn't want to hit it thick and leave it over the pocket.
But people keep asking me about the final black. It was an easy black, regardless of all the pressures, but I took so long over this
You
shot.
might miss it. Hold on.
One of these times I'm going to miss it.
You didn't get as emotional as I thought you would do. I thought you'd bawl your eyes out. Because the first time I won it, I cried my eyes out. I couldn't do anything else. I don't think you really had that much... You wasn't that tearful for quite a while.
I think it was the 13 years trying to win it, all the frustration coming out there when I nearly snapped the cue above ball.
In fact, you said to me afterwards you hadn't realised you'd done that with a cue until you watched it.
No,
on
I
tape.
didn't. It was amazing, and we have a photograph now of that, and the expression on the faces. I was just sort of pointing to Patricia there. Well, that's there.
Oh, you've gone there a bit, look.
It's the big glasses to hide everything.
Magnify the tears as well. It's an amazing setting.
You were looking at that trophy there, Dennis, as if you still couldn't believe it.
Well, yes, I mean, 79 when Terry beat me in the final. That was the first year Steve played, and I mean, I played terrific that year all the way to the final, and was favoured to win and lost it, and I've had to wait 6 years. And when you look at the trophy after and see about 11, there's 11 names on the trophy, and it's been going for over 40 years. It's something I'll never forget that as long as I live. I don't think it'll ever be repeated again, as Steve said. I mean, you couldn't get a finish like that again.
Steve, we've had some fun here watching it again, you watching it for the very first time, but I've talked to you about whether you were physically and mentally tired, but I think at the end of that match, suddenly the tiredness did take over, didn't it?
Oh, well I was... I think the World Championships is an experience that, unless you've actually been involved in it to the finish, you can't possibly talk about. And we're one of the few people that have been to the finish, and you are totally exhausted afterwards.
Did it suddenly hit you like a big curtain?
It always
down?
does, yes. I mean, it hits you in different ways, but you are drained. But you still can't go to sleep. I mean, I didn't go to sleep until about sort of 8 or 9 o'clock the next morning. And you are... that's when you start to think about everything that's gone behind, but at that stage. And then all the shots flood back, and it's always when you're lying asleep thinking, oh, well, lying in bed wondering what's, oh, if I'd have played that shot, if I hadn't have missed the blue when I potted the long red, all sorts of things come through your mind.
Or even if the cut on the black had worked, you'd have been a totally different person.
Well, that's right. Even though the black ball was the finished ball, that wasn't the one that lost it. If you can understand that. There was other shots, and but it was a great final, and it was tremendous to be involved in it. And Dennis was a worthy opponent. It was he played tremendous all throughout the tournament.
No one's ever seen you like you were at the end of that match when I walked out and I talked to Dennis, and then I talked to you. You didn't say an awful lot to me.
I made a joke, but nobody got it.
Can you believe what's happened here tonight yet?
Yeah, it happened in black and white.
Well, people mentioned about the way Steve reacted there at the end, but as soon as we went straight out, we had to go to do the press conference, and I went in first, and as I was coming out, we had to sort of pass each other, brush past. And Steve, once again, shook hands and congratulated him. And Barry Hearn was behind him, shook hands, and famous Robbo, he was there, shook hands, and Barry's wife. So, it was sort of...
Yeah, we don't, as a lot, I mean, we're very good sports. I mean, we've got You know, when you win, you win. You wipe, and if you lose, you wipe your mouth and walk away.
Yeah, you're very good sports. I mean, you're obviously great friends here. You've been great friends before. And Dennis, during that match, mentioned something which a lot of people have mentioned about snooker, the word fix. So many people said after that match, oh, come on. I mean, for two players like that, not to get that black down, the thing was fixed.
Well, really, I think it sums it up. They just don't understand.
I think the people that say that are people that haven't played the game of snooker. And I mean, if you're going to fix something, you wouldn't let someone go 8-0 in front and then come back again. I mean, that would just be ridiculous.
I think really it doesn't need justifying. If anybody ever comes up to me and says that was fixed, I'll say, yeah, it was, yeah. Because it's not worth even bothering arguing against it.
There's too much pride involved, David. You've played the game all your life. You've practiced for hours and hours and hours to try and become the best player in the world. And your pride's there. There's no way you would let anybody win. And people were talking about, there was one other article about betting on the result of a match. How could anybody sort of bet on the result of a match? And how would any player lose that match and lose all the benefits that would come with winning a major title? You know, Willie Thorne and Cliff Thorburn were quoted, which was diabolical because Willie'd been fighting for years to win a major tournament, and the money he earned from that, and just the fact that he'd won a major tournament, you know, it's there, the old pride.
Also, I think if it was fixed, do you think that the BBC would pay us to stop all the overtime and finish it a bit earlier?
That's exactly what I was saying.
Nobody's suggesting we're party to the fix.
David, we're involved in the greatest sport I think there is. The two greatest sports is golf and snooker for me, and the snooker players are like the golf players. They're all smashing people, they get on well together, but when you're out there, you sort of hate your opponent until the match is over, and then it's back to, back to the way we were before.
I hope I can be hating you again soon.
This fella, I tell you, he won't. We seem friendly now, but when you're playing him on the table, it's amazing, the rivalry, and you know that he will hammer you into the ground every single frame if he can. And I'll do the same back if I get the chance.
Thank you.